One of the big stories on our watch as Kenyans decide today and heading to the polls. There are elections as well. As you do know that outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta prepares to hand over the reins. We've got our reporter there, Sarah Kimani, who's on standby. Sarah, we understand Raila Odinga is making his way to the polls now. Tell us more. Well, we try to get hold of Sarah there. You can see there Raila Odinga is making his way to the polling station. Now, we do know that outgoing President Kenyatta, having served the constitutionally limited 2 terms, is backing Odinga to succeed him. And of course, this is all happening at a time where the polls had opened earlier this morning when we spoke to our reporter, Sarah Kimani, who was bringing us that update a bit earlier on. Sarah, we're going to try and get a hold of you again. We can see now Mr. Odinga is making his way to the polling station. What more can you tell us? And as we might have heard earlier on that, of course, there was a large number of Kenyans who are rallying to take to the polls today. And of course, we're monitoring many things at this particular election, you know, also being that the general expectation from the people of Kenya, and also we do know that there had been talks of a mix-up of ballot papers in some areas for those, and then there's questions that were raised around that as well. As soon as Sarah Kimani is available, we will be bringing her on the line to have a conversation with us. Let's take you live there.
Indeed, if you're watching us now, Raila Odinga has arrived at the polling station. He's casting his ballot. Outside, there is a lot of his supporters. Thousands of them are waiting outside the polling station. What is happening now on your screen, if you can be able to see, Odinga is the man with the blue hat. He is being identified by the polling clerks. Immediately he's identified by the polling clerks, he will receive 6 ballot papers and he will be able to cast his ballot. Now, Odinga has voted here for over 40 years now. He started voting here for 30 years, so to speak. He first voted here in 1992 and has continued to vote here. Odinga has also been a member of parliament in this particular constituency. It was previously called Langata constituency. It is now called Kibra constituency. It is also in Kibra, one of the largest informal settlements in Kenya. And so he has almost a cultic following. What you're hearing outside is his supporters screaming, shouting his name. This time they say it is the closest that the former Prime Minister has gotten to the prize. And so there is excitement here in his constituency, his supporters all out. Earlier we saw him enter the polling area accompanied by his wife, Raila Odinga, but they are not voting in the same polling station. What he's doing right now, if you are able to see, he's being identified, and from there he will take a walk round, picking the 6 ballot papers, and he will move into the polling booth where he will be able to make his decision known.
So, Sarah, I don't know if you got a chance to speak to him earlier, maybe get a sense.
Identifying voters this time is electronic. So what happens is when you come to the polling station, once one comes to the polling station, they will give their national identity card. We do not have voters' cards anymore in Kenya. So what you give is you give in your identity card. Then using the identity card, they will be able to go through the electronic device. Your name will be found on the register. Then you will receive the ballot papers and you'll be able to cast your ballot. Let's follow a bit before we can also, then I will be able to explain to you exactly what is happening now. So he's receiving the ballot papers. Umepigiwa picha? Nitumia. Haiko ni sio njia. Yako ni poa picha.
So Sarah, as we can see, it's a hive of activity there as members of the media are jostling to get, just a glimpse of Raila Odinga there casting his ballot. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to perhaps maybe engage with him as he was making his way there. Perhaps maybe you can give us a sense of that, once you back up and are able to talk to us. And of course, this is also another critical election that is currently happening there in Kenya. And our reporter there on the ground, Sarah Kimani, was earlier talking to us about the general expectation from the people of Kenya, how it's just basic bread and butter matters, that the electorate is concerned about in Kenya. She spoke to us at length about also the significance of this particular election and what the various candidates also bring to the table should they win this particular election. And of course, we heard earlier, there was also some conversations around ballot papers, and I'm hoping we can bring in Sarah for this. Sarah, I hope you can hear me now. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to perhaps engage with Mr. Odinga earlier when he was making his way to the polling station, and what was his mood, maybe if you did get to engage with him?
Well, there is excitement at the polling station where he is about to cast his ballot. What he's doing right now, he's marking his ballot papers. He has 6 ballot papers to mark. The one for the president, the one for member of parliament, the one for member of the Senate, a woman representative, a county assembly representative, and a governor. So that is what he's doing right now. The noise you're hearing is because there are tens and tens of journalists inside the small classroom where he is expected to cast his ballot. Now, his mood, I guess he's excited inside, but with a room that is so full of people shouting and screaming, there's a lot of pushing and shoving, he may not be able to show it on his face. But I can tell you, during his last rally that he held in Nairobi on Saturday, he said that he can smell victory. He says he can smell going to Canaan. He prefers to call the presidency Canaan. So he says he's like the biblical Moses, and he's leading his people to Canaan. So let's wait and see. Unless you have any other question, he's continuing to mark his ballots as we speak now. He will be addressing a press conference after this, so we will also be able to hear what he will say after that.
So I was actually going to touch up on the reports of having been mixed up ballot papers in some areas for some of those votes. This has also raised questions about the organization of the general election. Are there ways of rectifying this, and are you able to maybe verify some of these reports for us?
Well, yes, indeed, there was a mix-up in the ballot, in the printing of the ballot papers in at least 4 areas, 4 elective positions. 2 are for the county governments of Kakamega and Mombasa, and 2 are for members of parliament. But the Electoral Commission saying that was not their mistake. The mistake was with the printers. That election will be held later. Of course, it raises questions on the preparedness of the Electoral Commission. It raises questions on the credibility of the process. But the Electoral Commission is putting up a brave face, saying these are just 4 elective positions, and so they are not worried that this will affect the whole process. So those elections have been suspended in those areas, but the rest continues.
Interestingly, Sarah, this election is happening on the backdrop of an unprecedented, public attention, as well as this has caused the presidential candidates' economic agendas, to shift focus. Is there a sense of hope to rebuild the country by having new leadership?
Yes, indeed, and that is why you see the excitement that you're seeing in this particular polling station. It was the same in the morning when Deputy President William Ruto cast his ballot. The reason being, it is a transition election. President Kenyatta has served his 10 years. It's been a time of COVID-19 pandemic, which really impoverished people. There is a drought in this country ongoing now. There is also the high cost of living. So very many people are not able to put 3 square meals on the table. So quite a time of hope. And people in Kenya who believe so much in the electoral process are seeing this as a time for them to make a change. Some saying it is time for them to have their voices heard. For former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, he says this is his time to lead the country. And he says he has been cheated of election 3 times. And so he's saying this time he's assured of a win. If you will allow us, we will take a break now so that we can join the former Prime Minister outside for a press conference.
Sarah Kimani is out there for us watching that all-important election as Kenyans decide. We'll be touching base with her. As you can see now, she's making her way there now outside. There's a media scrum there, as you can see, members of the media trying to catch a glimpse of Raila Odinga as he's just finished casting his ballot.